Easy, how we doing? My name's Dave. I go by the name of Daveyoh. I'm a producer from Bedfordshire, near South London in the UK. And I ain't never really done a video like this before, so we're just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna try not to cringe myself editing this later on. But yeah, today I'm gonna take you through how I make one of my signature soul grime type beats. I'm gonna break it all down for you and hopefully teach you a thing or two. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory before we get started. So these past few weeks I've landed placements with Kia Keys, Siaming, Zuko Rosemead, C Milano. There's me in that video right there. I've been featured on Victory Lap with people like Ants Live, Rushy, Gliz, Caldo, loads more people. I've gone from dropping a beat once a week to every day for 120 days, every single day since the start of the year. I've gone from selling less than 5 beats in a year to nearly 100 in 3 months. And I'm only a few sales away from making my first 5 figures selling tunes. So let's stop messing about, let's get straight into it. And I'm gonna take you through a soul grind beat that I dropped recently. Right, so here's the beat. I didn't want to go through something that was like too techie to start off with. I figured I'd just pick something simple just so I can go through the main points that I think are important with a beat like this. But before I press play on it, it's worth noting that I have recently just dropped the Daveyoh Soul Grime drum package, which is the most innovative name ever, I know. But yeah, if you want to use all the drums and stuff that I'm using, I'll put a link in the bio. I'll stick it up on the screen here as well so you can see what it looks like. But yeah, if you want to cop yourself something nice, go and get yourself the Daveyoh drum pack. It's full of like snares, kicks, hats, all the like fundamentals that you need to get your drums popping like mine. So yeah, let's have a listen.
Whoa, Dave!
So yeah, get the idea of it. There's a couple of things with tunes like this. I think there's 3 main points that I want to go through. Obviously I could go through the entire thing and show you all the individual patterns, but I don't think it's really worth it. I just want to go through the stuff that I think is key, the stuff that I think are non-negotiables with tunes like this. And there's 3 ones that I've sort of picked out. One is layering. I don't see enough people doing this when they show me their tunes. It's like you'll see in my one that I've got here, I got 2 sets of hats. I got 3 sets of hats. I got a kick. Sometimes I layer 2 kicks. In this one I didn't. I've got 3 different sets of snares, and then obviously I've got all my perks and stuff. But what I mean by layering is instead of just picking like a snare or a clap, pick like 3 or 4 and have them layering over the top of each other at different sections. So I'll often have like a snare that just comes in at the end of a 16, or a snare that just plays ghost notes, or one that will play on the 1 and the 3, and then another one that will play on the 2 and the 4, just stuff like that. Shuffle them off grid. Makes a world of difference. Next one, talking about shuffling, is this little cheeky knob right up here. Obviously this is a bit lazy, but shuffling, swinging, don't have your drums hitting so straight. Like you'll see with my hats as well when I go into it later on, that they're not all perfectly on grid. With my snares as well, I'll have them slightly off grid, and I often do it with, when I go into my snares here, you'll see like I've got in here that they'll often be like shifted with this shift knob here, so that they're not all hitting at exactly the same time. That's the main one, so it's not shifted, but you know what I mean. And then number 3, the most important point with this, and this is something I've really picked up recently within the last 6 months, is pockets. Now you probably hear the word pockets and be like, what are you on about? But since I've done like a lot more in-house like sessions with people and with rappers, they always mention the pockets. Now I call it like the head bob test when I'm listening to a tune. If I'm making it myself and I'm like rapping terrible bars over the top or humming melodies or stuff like that, that's because you've got good pockets in it. And what I mean by pockets is gaps, little changes. You haven't just got like a 16 bar loop, if you will, of just drums and samples. You've got parts where there's nothing playing. You've cut out sections and made them loop over in the drums. You've got things coming in and out, like here, for example, I've cut the sample up. I've cut the sample up there and like doubled up the drums and just little things like that. The pockets make all the difference. So let's go through the sample. As I say, I could have picked a tune where I've like played everything out, but I just thought, oh, I can't be asked to go through it because I'll make this video like 100 hours long. So yeah, I picked this sample. I'll just play a little bit of it where there's no editing or anything on it. There you go. So I've got myself a little intro here. I'll show you some of the little techniques that I use to keep things interesting. That's the thing with beats like this, actually. It's probably worth saying. Keeping it interesting is the hardest part. And learning how to use effects, manipulate samples so that there's different little pockets, again, that's the difference between having like a good beat or a good loop and actually turning it from a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. And I feel like this is a pretty good example of that. So I've chopped up the sample for the intro here. And then you see what I've done with this bit here is I've grabbed a part of the sample that I like and I've put it up an octave with this pitch wheel here. And then I've automated that pitch wheel with this automation clip down here. So it gives it like a tape stop sound. Again, this might seem like really minor things, but this is the difference between having something that sounds good and something that's like proper bouncing. So you'll hear here that it pulls the pitch down by an octave and it gives it like that tape stop kind of sound. It sounds like that. And it's just little things like that, that's ear candy, and that's what rappers want to be hearing. They want the beat to be able to almost play by itself and have people's heads bopping. Another thing that I do with these quite regularly is the different chops, especially around kick patterns. Having a good kick pattern and cutting the sample around it can be such a game changer. So like with this section here, I love that bit. What I've done there is I've just cut out like almost like that triple-y feel, that triple-y bounce, and cut out all of the drums and the sample at a part that I liked, and I've looped it over. And then this, I almost don't want to give this away. Again, proper minor little trick, but I love doing this. I've got, I call it like the 7/5 technique. I see a lot of people doing this in different variations, but you'll see here that I've got the original sample at plus 200 cents. So that's 2 semitones up to what it was originally. And then I'll pull out a little section, make it unique, and I'll drop 1 down by 7 and 1 down by 5, just so it all stays relatively in key. And it gives it like that catronade kind of like off-grid feel. It's almost like a suspended or an augmented chord, if you will. It isn't, but it gives that element of suspense, and you have sort of like a second of going, that's not right. Oh no, it is right. Do you know what I mean? It's like a call and response. So if I just play the sample here. See what I mean with the drums? Oh, it just sounds so taste. If I do say so myself. Yeah. So what I'd recommend if I'm going for a start to finish with making a tune like this, make yourself a nice little 16 loop, make a good 32 bar loop, whatever it is that you do. Export it all as audio, and then make yourself a nice little intro. Make yourself something catchy. So, okay, you may have made something catchy already, but grab the sample that you've made or the sample that you're using or whatever it may be and cut that up again for an intro. Don't just have what you had originally. Make the sample have rhythm without even having drums in there to start with. I'll play it again, but it's like this kind of intro thing. That could play on its own with no drums, and that's got so much feel to it, instead of just having something like this, for example. Like, it's still cool, but that bounce is so much better. And then what it does mean is that when you come back to a section where you haven't got any chops in your sample, that's like a release that gives the artist that space, whether it be a chorus or a verse, to just sort of like float along again before you get to the techie bit. So part 2, get your drums bouncing, have everything off grid, layer up all of your snares, get used to, there's no like right or wrong pattern, but don't make stuff so like standard. Like, I hate it when I hear like people drop in drill tunes or grime tunes or something like that, and everything it's just like that groove that you've heard a million times before. Get innovative with it. Like, have ghost notes in your snares, have ghost notes in your kicks. And then again, same thing as I said earlier with the samples. Grab your, like, you'll see the patterns that I've got on my screen here. It looks really techie, but it's not. I'm just hearing the pockets as I'm making the tune. Cut that up again. You can never cut it up too much. Like, you can do too much, granted, but cutting it up and having interesting sections, that's the difference between having something good and having something bang average, in my opinion. So yeah, get some cool drums. Don't overdo it with perks. Just have perks in different pockets. And again, you want your drums to be sounding bouncing without anything else even playing. Like they're booting. That's what you want to hear. And then come the end of it, you should have something that sounds a bit like this.
Whoa, Dave!
So yeah, I hope that wasn't too cringy and horrible for everybody there. But if you want to see more videos of stuff like this, then please comment down below, like drop a little like on the video. I'm never really usually one to ask, but it does make a huge difference. I would happily do a video of doing like half an hour to an hour of actually going through each individual section, showing you how I'd make something from start to finish. But I just wanted to make this to like go through the fundamentals of what turns your beat that you've made that is good into like proper ear candy, sound decent. So yeah, any questions, bang me a message. Follow me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram somewhere along here at Daveyoh_. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, please let me know. I'll happily do them. And yeah, buy my beats, man. Buy my beats. Buy my beats. Spit some bars. Let's make some tunes together. Simple as that. Nice one. Safe. Look after yourselves.